Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Nice to see everybody out there. Hope you're having a great week. Now it's Friday, and it's the day after the last day of the DNC Convention, and I'll tell you, it was quite a show. Those 4 days really gave the Democrats the shot in the arm they needed to edge out ahead of Trump, and even though I personally don't really follow the polling numbers and put much weight on them, I know somebody who does, and that's Donald Trump. And right now, he's been having meltdown like you wouldn't believe. Apparently, he's been calling in on Fox News, calling in on Newsmax. Truth Social, he's posted like 40 some odd posts in like under an hour during Kamala's speech last night. He just was so jealous of all the adulation and the love that was at that convention for her, and then his MAGA followers, spying, on the convention through apps and YouTube or something like that, saying some of the most disgusting things about some of these people giving speeches that you ever saw, especially with Governor Walz's son. It's crazy. I mean, you listen to these people, or not listen, but you read the comments that they would say, and it's like reading comments from a 2-year-old. Okay, nothing is sacred to them. Okay. They'll throw mud at anything. They made fun of his son, Waltz's son, showing emotion when his father said he loved him. Okay, they made fun of that. Really? This is supposed to be the party of family values, and they're sitting here, slinging insults at his boy because, he was moved to tears by what his father said. I mean, Jesus Christ. Don't even come to me, MAGA, and say that you're the party of family values. You're not, okay? You don't know what a fucking family is. You people are crazy, all right? If anything, this convention showed how important family is in this country. They're the ones that's the party of family now. You lost that fucking, that badge of honor that you guys have been touting around. You lost that this week. Now it belongs to the Democrats. Now they're the ones that are doing your job for you. And just to add a little more salt to the wound here, RFK Jr. He's suspending his campaign and he's endorsing Trump. Okay. So all you maggots out there who were kind of jumping a little bit onto his bandwagon, well, you can get off now. Okay, see, he's not running, so he's not going to be a choice for you if you're not interested in voting for Trump. Okay, it's either you're going to vote for Trump or you're going to go all the way and vote for Harris. It's up to you now. I mean, there's no middle ground anymore, because Trump and Kamala have really got all what they need. Okay, at this point, nobody should be independent. Nobody should be undecided. You should already know where you're headed, because we got, what, 74 days left to the election. You should already know where you're going to be voting at this point, okay? Everything else now is just a formality at this point, okay? And, you know, one of the things that I know that got Trump pissed was Stephanie Grisham, okay? She showed up at the convention. She was Trump's White House press secretary, I think is what she was at the time. And she was one of the first people that ditched Trump because she couldn't stand the fucking guy, okay? He was just so fucking, as they call it, weird. But no, he's so immoral and hateful that, you know, she just couldn't stand the guy. She just left, you know. And, you know, she said that he would make fun of his own supporters. He'd call his supporters basement dwellers. Okay? And, you know, she considered herself to be one of his supporters, you know, in early on. And so I was like insulting her. You know, just basically telling her, oh, you were a basement dweller to support me, you know, but yet he wants her to work for him. So, I mean, it's like, Jesus, talk about a left-handed compliment, you know, it's like, you know, that's his thing about Trump is his thing, is his mouth. He can't control his mouth. He says things, he doesn't realize what he's saying can be perceived as insulting. He thinks he's giving a compliment, but he's not, okay? And then she said, and she couldn't believe this, during the COVID crisis, okay, when the media was showing the patients in the hospitals and some of the stories that relatives were saying, you know, about their relatives dying and stuff, Trump made this remark about, you know, why is the press spending so much time covering this? They should be covering me. Honestly, you know, the level of egomaniac that this guy is astounding. Now, I don't know if he was trying to say that as a joke, but it's a joke in poor taste, okay? I don't think anybody was laughing when he said it, unless they were an ass kisser. But the thing of it is that in a thing like that, if you want attention, you come out and you say you want to help these people. He didn't do that either, okay? He didn't offer any help. He's just telling people to drink bleach, put strobe lights up your ass, or whatever the hell it was he was telling people. That was the level of help you were going to get from that nutcase, okay? And then, you know, of course, this one thing he says to just about everybody, that he knows that if you repeat a lie long enough, you know, people are going to believe it, you know, which is what he does. That's why he keeps saying, you know, the election was stolen and all that. He knows it's a lie, but he keeps saying it. He figures that's how he's getting his base. And the base believes it, but nobody has any proof to back up the initial claim. You know, and out of all the cases they brought to court, what, 60 some odd cases that try to challenge the validity of that election, they were all thrown out because the judges wanted proof and they couldn't offer any. You see. But we know he follows the polling numbers, and it's getting on his nerves because people are really you know, spotting how he's treating his daughter and all that stuff, and his wife, and, you know, there's division in the house here, and there never really was that much love in the Trump house. I mean, I think a lot of people know him and his wife are not really that close anymore. I don't even think she gives two shits about him. But his daughter, the one that he lusts over, you know, I don't know what's going on with them two there, but, you know, whatever it is, the kind of relationship they have is disgusting. That's not a family value icon for anybody, for any country, okay? He wants to be a pedophile. He hung around with pedophiles, you know, Jeffrey Epstein and these perverts. I mean, he made his whole career around that. I mean, what do you think was going on in these casinos, for Christ's sake? You know, have you ever been into one? You ever see what goes on in there? Okay, all right, so anyway, like there's this poll that's out that's called Voters of Tomorrow, and the people they poll are under the age of 30, okay? Between, what, 17 and 30, I guess, whatever. But they're just young people. And they polled 1,500 people, okay? Now, I always have a problem with that, you know, about, you know, these... You know, when you take the number of people living in this country, like 350 million Americans, and you only poll 1,500 people, to me, I can't see how that can matter at all, okay? But but for people like Trump that follow these numbers, I mean, this is a guy that follows numbers. Numbers mean everything, right? Because that's how he gauges his wealth, through numbers. So a guy like this will read the newspaper or whatever, and he'll see the numbers. And so out of 1,500 people that were polled, Kamala beat Trump by 32 points. 32 points. All right, that's that poll there saying that. Now, you know he didn't like that. Okay, he didn't like that at all. He didn't like that. He probably didn't like this. This is another poll, Center for Politics. They're calling these states, the states here I'm going to name off here, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina are considered all toss-up states in their polling results of, like, you know, who's going to vote for whom. So I guess in a way they're just saying it's all in a dead heat pretty much. So there's no guarantee of either side, you know, winning any of those states in their polling, okay? Now, every poll is going to show different, okay? But this particular poll is saying that, okay? Let's see. The Economist and YouGov poll showed Kamala ahead of Trump by 46 to 43, okay? But that's inside the margin of error. That's, what is that, 5 or 6 points? So, but still, you know, Trump would see that and get pissed. Redfield and Wilton. Kamala, you know, overtakes Trump in Pennsylvania by 46 to 44. Wisconsin to 48 to 44. Georgia to 46. 56 to 46. New Mexico, she has a 7% lead. Also in Minnesota. Trump is ahead of her in this poll in Arizona and Nevada by just 1 point. Okay, just by 1 point. Okay, let me turn this here. So, the Sum of 4 poll had a result here where in their poll in Michigan she's ahead 51 to 44. Oh, twist this here. In Wisconsin she's ahead 50 to 44. In Nevada 48-44. Okay, so that's just a few of the polls that's come out this week during the DNC convention. Okay, and polls change every day, people. They do. I mean, because they do these polls all the time, and the numbers are always in flux. All right. Like, I don't put a whole lot of weight to polls because they have been wrong on so many occasions in the last decade or so that I don't follow them. But certain people, old timers, I guess, like Trump, they put weight into those numbers, and they'll see it. So I'm reading it as this is what he's seeing. Okay, so you know Trump's pissed. Okay, because after Biden resigned out of this campaign and Kamala took over, there's a huge shift now, you know, in the way that not only the campaign has changed, but in the way the attitude of the whole nation has changed. Okay, now it's all different. Now it's all leaning towards the Democrats as far as popularity and all that goes. And there was over 20 million people watching the DNC as opposed to the 18 million who watched the RNC's convention. You know, so apparently, you know, there is proof out there that there is a momentum shift now for the Democrats, and this convention gave them a shot in the arm, as I say, and a boost that's pulling them out ahead. Because, a lot of things, I'm just going to say here, a lot of things that Kamala had said in her speech last night, it sounds to me like she's putting out a message to both parties now, not just the Democrats. She was talking to both parties last night, you know, trying to say, look, you know, basically, you know, the Republicans have ditched who they were, okay, and they've gone to a cult mentality. If you want this country back the way you had it before, join us, because we're going to bring it back the way it was. Family is going to be important, okay, to us. Where, you know, for years Republicans have always championed that as being their central thing. You know, the moral party, the moral right, okay? Well, they've lost that now. Trump took that away from them because the guy's not moral. He's a criminal. He's a rapist. He's a pedophile, okay? Because, or whatever you want to call it, an incest. Okay, he's the worst of the worst in this country. And MAGA can't see it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to believe it. They just want to win, because to them, the whole thing is nothing more than a simple football game where it's all about the wins. It's not about how you get them, okay? They just want to win. But at the same time, they've been trolling the DNC convention all week, and they cannot fucking stand it. Okay, the attitude is these people are really fucking mad that the Democrats have had so much fire and so much, you know, so many guest speakers from the former Republican Party showing up on stage, asking basically any Republicans out there who are undecided, come join us. Okay, we don't have to agree with everything the Democrats stand for, but we know Kamala will open the door to us if we have ideas we want to express. She's not going to shut it in our face. Okay, if we treat her respectfully and we come to her with things that concern us, she'll listen. Okay, but if you're going to go to her and you're going to insult her and insult her family, insult the vice president and his family, okay, hey, she's not going to hear you. We're not going to deal with fucking cults in our government, okay? That's no place for a fucking cult is in our government. Out. We don't want to listen to you. We don't want to hear you. Nobody cares what you think, MAGA. Nobody cares what you think, all right? You need to get the hell out of that goddamn frame of mind you're in and act like real people. Act like Americans, okay? The real patriots in this country were in that DNC convention last night. Those were the patriots. You guys aren't even that anymore. You claim you were patriots on January 6th. No, you were terrorists. You were terrorists on January the 6th. That's what you were then. That's what you still are today. Okay? You are that enemy, that domestic enemy that we have to put in its place. And it begins this November by denying you people any foothold in our government, because you don't belong there, okay? Any more than Al-Qaeda belongs having a seat in our fucking government, okay? You guys are not Americans. Stop carrying around our flag. Stop saying USA, USA, okay? You don't have that right anymore, okay? You don't. You just don't have that fucking right. So stop it. You people, you're just, the veterans don't want to hear from you, okay? The people, the police officers, the first responders, they don't want to hear from you, because these people are real Americans, okay? These people are fucking Americans, and they know what patriotism is all about. Stop trying to accuse Mike Walls, you know, of, you know, stealing valor, okay? That's a bullshit argument, JD. I don't know why the hell you even want to go there, because really you've got no ground to talk about stolen valor, okay? Jesus Christ. I mean, if anybody, all right, forget it. You lose the argument just by making the claim, because you've got nothing, okay? Walls, you know, if you debate him, good luck. That's all I can say to you. You'd be smart not to. But if you debate him, you're gonna get your ass kicked in that debate. And it's gonna be an embarrassing thing. It might even ruin your whole fucking political career after that, because people are gonna see you for what you are. You know, unqualified. You shouldn't even you shouldn't even be in the Senate. You shouldn't even have the seat that you got, because you're so fucking unqualified. You've got no clout. You know, to get up into the upper echelons of government, you got to have clout. You just got in there on the skin of your teeth. Okay, you don't have any fucking, you know, leverage on anything. You got no power. All you got is a mouth. All right, And whoever can buy your support, it's, you know, hey, you go in that direction. You got no fucking morals, no principles, no nothing. Okay, anyone that buys you, I mean, that means you've got nothing. You stand for nothing, so you'll fall for anything. You know, that's who you are. So like I said, last night and the 3 nights before that, the Democrats really drove home the whole point about what America is, what it really is. You know, Trump's been out there trying to take that away from us in his lies and his speeches, and in the 4 years he was president, he really tried to beat us down, making us think that, you know, America's dead. No, it ain't dead. It ain't nowhere near dead. Not after this week. There's more live. Patriotism is still alive and well in this country. It is, okay? And right now, people's patriotism is in keeping Trump out. We don't want him. That's why we say we're not going back. We learned our lessons from that, okay? And so we're not going to do that. We're not going back there again. He's had his time. It's time to close the book on him and open a new book on the future, because that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at maintaining the progress that Joe Biden started, and we want to keep it going into the future. Now, talking about future, yeah, a lot of the politicians in the Democrat Party, you know, they're aging out, okay? They're aging out. But there's one thing I did see, is the younger ones coming up have got a lot of fire. And these people are going to keep that party going long after I'm dead and buried, okay? I'm telling you right now, there are some really smart young politicians in the Democrat Party that give me hope that, you know, democracy isn't going to suffer very much under them, okay? And Republicans really, you know, the ones that are aging out in the Republican Party, I don't think, you know, whatever the hell they stand for is going to matter anymore in a few more years, okay? After the Trumps and, you know, and Mitch McConnells and all them, after they die, that whatever the hell kind of party is there after they're gone, that's going to go through a transformative state, okay? Because the younger ones, you know, that are in that party, they're politicians, a lot of them are just jack fucking crazy, okay? And I don't see that they would be able to hold on to power at all if they keep going down that road. They're just going to continue to shrink as time goes on to where they're nothing more than just like, you know, a tiny little party you want to call or something, you know, and it's just, you know, it's got like 5 or 6 seats because nobody's going to listen to them anymore because they're going to see just how irrelevant they are. And it's happening. It's happening right now. It's happening right now. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today is the day I hope you will donate to support our movement, because the truth is, time is running out. We're in the final lap of this race, and Election Day will be here before you and I know it. So I need you to act now so your donation can have the greatest impact. The stakes in this election could not be higher, and we cannot throw up our hands when we must roll up our sleeves. Let's get to work.
The Olympics give us examples of unparalleled athleticism, feats of human flexibility that defy imagination. But there's one man whose superhuman flexibility is unparalleled. That man is J.D. Vance. Just watch as J.D. Vance flips on his most passionately held beliefs.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
Tonight, we celebrate he is our once and future President of the United States of America.
Unbelievable! Do you believe in miracles? Okay, here we see J.D. Vance trying the technically complex and difficult move of dodging his comments about women.
We're effectively run in this country by a bunch of childless cat ladies. As a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Of course, for a whole host of reasons, it's not going to work out for some people. We should pray for those people.
Oh, incredible! Just incredible! Can you believe he does all this from the comfort of his couch? Wow! Just wow! J.D. Vance, the undisputed champion of intellectual dishonesty.
Welcome to the Trump 2024 Convention, brought to you by Project 2025. This week in the horrible city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you'll see the best of the Trump Project 2025 party. It's a bold vision for a bright future. With Trump Project 2025, you'll love how new tariffs will make everything more expensive and set off runaway inflation. We know you'll appreciate paying for the big tax cut our struggling billionaires need. When you seniors are done freeloading, check out Project 2025's plan to end Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So get out of that nursing home bed and get back to work. And ladies, this convention has so much in store for you. With Project 2025, you'll learn how good you'll have it in the kitchen. Girls, if your marriage isn't working out, you'll need Project 2025's helpful tips to keep the romance alive, even if he's abusive, because we're getting rid of divorce. And if Mr. Wrong gets you pregnant, welcome to motherhood, because we've ended Roe v. Wade and we're going to criminalize birth control. And minorities, well, you didn't need those silly voting rights anyway. For you Jews, Muslims, Mormons, and other fake religions, you'll get a head start on learning America is a Christian nation. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's plan for your future, and it couldn't be any brighter.
Project 2025 Bright Future Guarantee applies to white evangelical Christian men only. Other conditions may apply. Offer not valid in a functioning republic.
What will you tell your kids? That you voted for a felon and a criminal, supported a man found guilty by a citizen jury, went into the voting booth happy to pull the lever for the only former president in history to bear the mark of criminal shame. Will you tell them that breaking the law is how they should live their lives? That lying to their families about porn stars and hush money is how they should behave? Do you want your son to treat women like a man who was found to have committed sexual assault? Do you want your daughter to be a victim of a man like him?
You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the...
Will you tell them that he was honest, that he was a good man?
Very fine people on both sides.
That he treated people the way you've taught them.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Will you tell them you're proud of his cruelty? Happy with the ugly insults.
I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
The attacks on women and the endless lies that the chaos, death, and danger he brought was worth it. We know it's hard to walk away and put country over party, but your kids are watching. You're not just voting for your future, you're voting for theirs.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back. All right, here's an article here from The Hill by Alexander Bolton. This was published a couple days ago, and it's entitled, Republicans Worry Trump Blowing Their Chances for a Senate Majority. Senate Republicans are worried former President Trump could be blowing their chances of winning back the majority as he flails in his response to Vice President Harris's surge of momentum, according to GOP aides and strategists. Harris has narrowed Trump's lead in Republican-leaning Senate battlegrounds such as Ohio and Florida, and pulled ahead in other states where Republicans have a chance of picking up seats, such as Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Even Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, one of Trump's top allies in the Senate, is urging the former president to tone down his quote-unquote showman streak at rallies and to focus on swing voters by highlighting Harris's record on the economy, taxes, and border security, where Republicans have the advantage over Democrats, which I don't agree with. Okay. The GOP is, to be sure, the favorite to win back the Senate. Republicans need only to gain 2 seats to take the majority, even if they lose the presidency. They are all but certain to gain 1 seat in West Virginia, and Senator John Tester, Democrat, faces a tough re-election bid in Montana, a state Trump is likely to win. Trump is also favored in Ohio, where Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat, faces a difficult re-election race. Still, the last few weeks have worried Republicans as they've watched the polls shift and Harris energize young and minority voters in battleground states. Ron Bonjean, a GOP strategist and former Senate GOP leadership aide, said Republicans are, quote, running into rougher terrain because Democrats have a much more viable candidate at the presidential level, unquote, in Harris compared to President Biden. He said Harris's record gives Republicans opportunities to go on offense over policy differences, but warned that Trump has to focus more on policy and less on throwing red meat to his core supporters. In other words, stop throwing the insults. Quote, Trump is trying to get on message. In the last couple of press conferences, he's starting to talk about her policies, but he just can't help getting the crowd responses by going after her personality. He can't get away from it. It may get a great reaction from the crowd, but it's doing nothing for independent voters that are looking for the contrast. They know who Donald Trump is. They're trying to figure out who Kamala Harris is, unquote, he said. Quote, it's going to be a very tight election. The polls are tightening up. If Trump wants to win, he's going to have to get way more on message and way less showmanship for his crowds, because they don't matter. It's the independent voters that count for actually getting over the finish line, unquote, he added. Harris has pulled ahead of Trump or narrowed the lead Trump had over Biden in several battleground states. In Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin. GOP lawmakers and strategists are worried Trump's dip in the polls could create a further slide in the fall that could imperil their chances of winning back the Senate and keeping their House majority. A Senate Republican aide told The Hill that Senate Republicans are not thrilled about the trajectory of Trump's campaign and worry what it will mean for Senate GOP candidates in key states. Quote, "You can start to feel trepidation, like with Arizona. You get a sense in talking to folks that it's not going as well as we hoped. In Nevada, it's not going as well as we hoped," unquote, the GOP aide said. The source said, quote, "There's a legitimate gripe," unquote, that Trump, quote, "is not as aggressive of a campaigner as he could be," unquote, referring to the amount of time that Trump is spending on the stumps reaching out to voters in key swing states. Quote, "He's going to run the way he's always run his campaign, and it's not a great feeling," unquote. The aide said of Trump's preference for holding boisterous rallies with his core supporters instead of trying to expand his appeal to independent and more moderate voters. Republican lawmakers fear that Trump's personal attacks on Harris may only backfire with swing voters and put down-ballot GOP candidates in the awkward position of having to respond to Trump's inflammatory statements. Quote, "There's no question Trump is going through self-immolation. He's killing himself. All swing states are won by independent votes, and he's alienated the independent vote almost every day with some foolish statement that marginalizes him, and as a result, the party and the majority of independents are educated women, and they're just turned off by the guy and what he says," unquote, said former Senator Judd Gregg, Republican from New Hampshire, a one-time advisor to Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell's leadership team. Republican lawmakers view Harris as a very quote-unquote beatable candidate given her past support for far-left proposals such as Senator Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All Act and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's sweeping Green New Deal. Yet Trump has insisted on attacking Harris personally, questioning her racial identity and mocking her intelligence in an over-the-top way, drawing accusations that he's indulging in sexist tropes. Trump's antics have put the spotlight on himself as much as on his opponent and obscured the debate over issues that GOP lawmakers were hoping to have on Biden's immigration record and the fate of the expiring Trump-era tax cuts. A New York Times Siena College poll conducted earlier this month showed Harris leading Trump among likely voters in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the states that make up what's sometimes called the Democrats' quote-unquote blue wall. Another Times Siena poll conducted this month shows Harris leading Trump among likely voters in Arizona, 50% support to 45%, and Harris slightly ahead of Trump in North Carolina, which Trump won in 2020. The survey conducted August 15 also showed Harris cutting down Trump's lead substantially in Georgia and Nevada. At the same time, the nonpartisan Cook Political Report said Senate Democrat candidates had widened their lead in several swing states, most notably in Nevada, where Senator Jackie Rosen, Democrat, is now leading her Republican challenger, Sam Brown, by 19 points. Cook shifted the Nevada Senate race from toss-up to lean Democrat. In Pennsylvania, incumbent Senator Bob Casey, Democrat, increased his lead over GOP candidate David McCormick from 8 points to 13 points. In Arizona, Democratic Representative Ruben Gallego has increased his lead over Republican Kerry Lake from 5 points to 9 points. And in Michigan, Representative Eliza Slotkin, the Democratic nominee for Senate, has expanded her lead over former Representative Mike Rogers, her GOP challenger. Especially concerning for Senate Republicans, internal Republican polling shows Harris gaining ground on Trump in Ohio, a state Republicans had expected Trump to win by double digits. The New York Times reported that two private polls conducted recently in Ohio by Republican pollsters showing Trump getting less than 50% of the vote against Harris in the Buckeye State. A Rasmussen reports Numbers USA poll of likely voters published Monday show the incumbent Brown leading Republican challenger Bernie Moreno with 47% support to Moreno's 42%. In Florida, a USA Today Suffolk University poll of 500 likely voters conducted on August 7 showed Harris trailing Trump by only 5 points in the Sunshine State. Trump's margin of victory in Florida will have a bearing on Democrats' chances of knocking off Senator Rick Scott, who is one of their top 2 targets, along with Senator Ted Cruz in Texas. A poll of 1,040 likely voters in Florida by Florida Atlantic University and Main Street Research conducted August 10 showed Scott leading the Democrat former Representative Debbie McCarcel Powell by 4 points. The USA Today Suffolk poll showed Scott with only a 35% approval rating, while 49% of respondents viewed him unfavorably. Scott, a strong Trump ally, dismissed the discussion that Trump is slipping in Florida or that he himself is vulnerable to being upset by an underdog challenger. Quote, Trump's going to win big in Florida. We're going to win big in Florida, unquote. He told The Hill in a brief interview, quote, my likely Democratic opponent is a socialist that doesn't play well in Florida. Gregg, the former GOP senator from New Hampshire, said Senate Republican candidates are at risk of getting bogged down in responding to Trump's antics instead of running their own races. Quote, down-ballot Republicans, I think, are very worried, unquote, he said. And, quote, instead of running your campaign, you're defending his statements and eccentricities and his marginalization of Harris. It's really bad for a candidate if you can't run your own campaign. You have to spend all your time defending stupid comments, divisive comments, and disruptive comments, unquote, he added. Senator Ron Johnson, who was at the Trump Hotel in downtown Chicago on Monday to respond to the messaging at the Democratic National Convention, acknowledged the presidential race will have an impact on the battle for the Senate. Quote, top of the ticket will always have some impact. There's no doubt about it, unquote, Johnson said. Quote, they lead the ticket, unquote. He voiced frustration that the media isn't asking tougher questions about Harris's policy positions. Quote, I'll keep banging on the media. You've got to start asking Vice President Harris questions. You've got to hold her accountable. You've got to tell the American public or make her tell the American public. This is how I govern. This is what I support, unquote, he said. Johnson admitted he doesn't think taking back the Senate majority is a sure thing for Republicans, even though they are expected to easily pick up retiring Senator Joe Manchin's West Virginia Senate seat. I've always been skittish about things. I never count my chickens before they hatch, he said. So, like I said, there's this growing, discontent inside, MAGA. I mean, I gotta say here, you got MAGA and then you got the Republican Party. They might both be on the right, but they're not united. Okay? Because a lot of these people are not really what you'd call Trump supporters that are commenting. They want to see a Republican win, right? They don't necessarily want to see Trump win. Okay? They don't like Trump. The Republicans that are, what I would call the regular Republicans. But MAGA, the problem with MAGA is if you're not kissing Trump's ring, we don't want nothing to do with you. So they don't even look at these other Republicans that have commented here as real Republicans. They think a real Republican has to be part of MAGA. All right. So these outliers here around the party, around the MAGA movement, the cult, okay, I should say, these outliers, they don't trust them, they don't like them, because they won't kiss the ring. All right? That's why a lot of Republicans, like Mitt Romney and all them, retired early, because they can see where it's headed with that group of people, with the right wing is just sinking forever on to the bottom. And they don't want to be part of it. And so a lot of these people have left. And the ones that have stayed, they don't necessarily like Trump. They don't like the way he runs his mouth, because it's hurting them. Like they said, we spend all our time defending this idiot's mouth. instead of talking about what we want to talk about so we can get ahead in our campaigns. But we can't, because every day he comes out and he says something stupid. And then they get questioned about, well, what did you, when you heard Trump say, what do you think? You know, it's like, no, I'm here for me. You guys you're sitting here trying to pepper me with these questions about Trump. You know, so in order for these people to win, they almost have to leave the party, you know, and be something else. Either, you know, join the independent party or something like that. Because as long as they got an R next to their name now that's going to hold them back. So long as Trump is the head of that fucking MAGA cult, and by default the Republican Party as it is today, okay. As long as he is the top, he's the king of that goddamn group, okay. Anyone who wants to call himself Republican has to also call themselves MAGA, because if you're not MAGA and a Republican, you don't belong, okay. That's why there were so many Republicans that spoke at the DNC Convention this week, okay? Because these were people who felt they didn't belong there anymore, because their party shifted so far to the right, it left them behind. They become the worst of the worst. You know, they're the cult mentality that, you know, they just don't want to be part of, because as much as they love family values and stuff like that, they're not going to be people who are going to hurt women, okay, and put bans on abortion and shit like that. They won't do that, okay? That's not what they're about, all right? They have a moral interest in making sure our country doesn't leave morality behind, or doesn't sway into areas that are going to, you know, hurt the country down the road. Okay, I always believed that we should have a conservative part to our government, because we can't always be a progressive all the time on everything. You got to have a little bit of a what I call a fact check moment or something. You got to have people on the side that said, okay, wait a minute. You know, it's for example, like when we were talking about, when I said in the video before about the internet, how we rushed into that without really thinking about what that could mean for our society, okay? See, when I say without thinking about what it could mean for society, that's conservative thinking, okay? It's so exciting and progressive to have an internet, but nobody took the time to think about what's that going to mean for us. I mean, you know, that we open our doors to this information, you know, we have all this, and you see, if we had been a little more cautious about venturing into that internet era, we might have thought about these things about, you know, pornography being through the internet, and these stalkers online, and the peoples that, you know, like the kids that are getting harassed online. We might have been able to foresee that, okay, with a more conservative, you know, thought. Like I say, you just, when you walk, you don't walk with your eyes like this. You walk where you can see the path ahead of you, okay? You walk like this. To me, this is how I define progressiveness, is walking with your head like that and you're not watching where you're going. But when you walk with your eyes straight ahead, you're walking with progressiveness, but with conservatism as well, okay? You bring the two things together to make a person that's aware of their surroundings. And that you can't do one without the other. You got to have both. Now, right at this point in American history, our conservative side has gotten sick. There's a cancer in it, and it's eating the shit out of it, okay? Now it's gotten even worse. So now the Democrats are going to have the responsibility of trying to have a conservative side to it in order to move on. Because if they go too progressive and they push forward, you know, we could stumble into things that's going to create more problems, and we don't need any more. Okay, so we just have to think about that for a minute. All right, and so some of these Republicans supporting Harris is good. I'm glad these people that were able to say, okay, I'm putting this party aside because I don't believe what's happening to them. I'm going to stand on what I believe, and I'm bringing that to the party. Fine. That means you're a clear-minded Republican. You're welcome into the party, okay? Come join us. We need you, okay? We need you in there to offer, your vision, your clear-mindedness to keep us from just running forward without looking where we're going. Okay? We need that, because that makes a very wise society. That's where we gain our wisdom, and we learn from history, is by, keeping ourselves, what is it with reaching for the stars but keeping your feet on the ground. Who said that? There was a guy, I can't remember, Casey Kasem, yeah. He always would say that, right? Reach for the stars, keep your feet on the ground but keep reaching for the stars. In other words, he's saying, don't lose yourself reaching for your dreams, okay? Always keep yourself grounded in reality. To me, that's kind of what I think about our government, is that we want to reach for the stars, we want to keep ourselves grounded in reality, what we can do, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like we need to have conservatism in our country in order to make it go forward in a great way, in a clear-minded way, so that way it matters, where we can see things evolve as it should and not evolve out of control, okay? And that's what I saw in the convention this week. That's why it was really encouraging to see that, hey, there are some Republicans out there that see Trump as a loose cannon, okay? He's the kind of guy that's going to appease to the worst in us, okay? And that's not conservatism, right? That's like saying everybody in prison should be a MAGA supporter because, hey, they have no class, they got no rights, they don't believe in anything, they're murderers, they're killers, they're rapists. Come join the MAGA party, because, hey, we got one of our own as the head of it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's not conservative. That's not a Republican Party. That's a circus. It belongs on a desert island somewhere where these people can, slaughter each other. Okay, that's where these people belong. Okay, they've lost their fucking minds. We really ought to be rounding these people up and putting them in mental institutions so they can be studied and treated, instead of allowed to go out and vote and join or go to these Republican conventions and stuff and ruining the shit out of the country, okay? We really need to invest in some mental health, in this country for a lot of people, because there's really too many of them, But yes, like I said, this is a really good point in history, in American history, where, we have this problem. And it's not the problems really that I'm thinking about that, Kamala was talking about, that we need to hit head on and fix. But the problems in our country, we can't help other countries unless we fix our own, okay? We can't help Gaza unless we fix our own country. We can't help Ukraine, really, unless we fix our own problem. Because if you've got a side that's constantly pulling the goddamn reins and pulling the rug out from under us every time we try to do something, how are we helping? Okay, we got to keep those people the hell out of the equation, so that way, when our country says we're going to help stop the war in Gaza, we can do it. We're going to help Ukraine defend its country against Russia. We can do it. Okay. Right now, other countries are looking at us and saying, we don't know where America's going to be 4 or 5 years from now. They might be helping us now, but after the election, who knows? So we can't be like that. When we give our word, it should mean something. Okay? When I tell people, or I promise people I'm going to show up and pick them up, go somewhere, okay, I'm not going to just say, oh, I can't do it. After I promised, I gave you my word. Okay? No. So when America gives its word that it's going to help and do things for other countries and stuff like that, we want to make sure we can honor that word and not let other people make us break our promise. Because that diminishes the whole country, the whole government further down. People start to say, oh, we can't trust that fucking country. Jesus, you can't ask them for help. You can't even get 10 cents out of them for a flood aid. That's what we're going to look like. And how is that making America great again? When the rest of the world looks at us like we're fucking thieves and, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work, okay? So that's the reason why we have to keep MAGA the hell out of this, okay? When that cult of people fades away, and decides, oh, well, we can't do this anymore and stuff. It's too, asks too much of us. When they give up on that and the conservative part of the country can reunify and come back together again under some kind of sanity, we're not really going to be able to trust the right wing right now, okay? We can't, especially MAGA. Anybody that's a Trump supporter, that's MAGA, okay? Can't trust these people because they don't have any honor, they don't have any integrity, okay? Like I said, to them, it's just a football game, That's all. That's how they look at this whole election, and it's not. It's much more serious than that. All right, so that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. Subscribe, comment, and share. And please keep your ear open for any health-related matters. And treat each other nice out there. Enjoy the weather. If you got good weather coming, take the time to go outside and get some rays as we kind of wrap up our summer here, I guess. So I will talk to you later, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.